Are we gonna be doing the Trump rally? Do we have to do this ridiculous nonsense? I really don't know what to say about the Trump rally. It's you don't need to watch the whole 6-hour thing. People have like segmented like some of the interesting parts. Like maybe like you can go check out Elon Musk's speech. You can watch the podcast host of Kill Tony, him speak. He had a 10 or 11 minute speech. You can of course watch maybe Trump's, but of course Trump's speech is another Trump speech. You know, him hitting on the usual like the enemy from within must be crushed. The same one that Fox News interviewer was like pushing Kamala Harris on. I don't know what you mean by this quote. He even apologized for that afterwards after playing the wrong quote. So it seems at least there's some acknowledgement from Fox that, yeah, you know, this rally, this enemy from within thing might be a problem. It also is weird that every single time they give Trump an opportunity to clarify his statement when he's talking about the enemy from within in the United States, and he starts naming Democrats. He names Adam Schiff. That doesn't sound like he's talking about rioters and Antifa. That sounds like he's just talking about his political opposition. He's also posting images online showing much of his political opposition, Hillary Clinton, Harris, Biden, etc., in jail, in prison. So, I mean, like, enemy within seems like it's pretty clear to me. So he was repeating a lot of the same stuff, and I don't want to go over too much of the same stuff, but there was a lot of wild stuff here. It seems like they got everybody and anybody who could possibly cause the campaign a PR problem, and they gathered them all at this one event for 85,000 people at Madison Square Garden. 85,000 people. And who did they get to speak in front of these 85,000 people in New York? They get Tucker Carlson. They get Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani at least makes sense. They get Tony from the Kill Tony podcast. And they get Elon Musk. And all of them, before you get to Trump, had their own little disasters. They had their own little problems. Like Elon Musk had this weird gothic dark MAGA thing he said he was doing. And then he did some like, he did a screech. Is the screech here? I don't know if the screech is here. I think they might have edited out the screech. Did you guys see the screech? Am I gonna have to find the screech myself? I'll find the screech. It's weird enough that I'll look it up. Here it is. Jesus, I'm sorry. Thank you. Here we go. So it was a vibe. The event was a vibe. I don't know where to start with because there's so many quotes from this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a 7 News Australia compilation of some of the wildest moments. This is Tony. He is the head of the Kill Tony podcast, which is #1 live podcast in America. He's a comedian. He's what you would call a roaster, or so to speak. He goes around and he says, your shoes are goofy. You know, that's the idea. And he went up there and did an 11-minute comedy skit. And the topics he chose to joke about were the Jews, the Palestinians, black people, and the things he chose to say was just about everything that could be associated with campaign poison. Oh, and of course, the famous Puerto Rican comment. So let's see how much of this we can play quick, because I think out of the craziest moments from the rally, he makes up like a full minute. And this is a 3-minute video, and there's so many different speakers here. He makes up more time than I think Trump gets. Tony makes up more time than Trump in the crazy moments compilation. Okay, let's play.
It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, you know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. No.
There's like 400,000 Puerto Ricans in the state of New York. If you're trying to win an election in New York, if you're trying to pretend that you can win New York, why are you calling Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage? Why are you calling Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage? Look, you want my honest stance? I don't care. Okay? He's a comedian. He's doing what edgy comedians do. Personally, I don't care that much. I think there's might be like a right place and a right time, and this is not the right place nor the right time. Because the thing is about like, how do I put this? How do I put this in the way that's least offensive? The thing is about racist comedy. I don't really have a problem with racist or sexist or any comedy in and of itself. If everybody's in on the joke and the joke is like, this is really stupid. Like these stereotypes are stupid. The stereotype in and of itself is like the joke, right? Or the pun of the joke isn't like the point of the joke isn't like this group is horrible and I hate this group. Then I don't really care. And I don't think Tony really like hates these groups or anything from what I know of him. So there's not really too much I can like care to be like outraged about, because I know that's like his whole game is like trying to be like a really offensive, edgy comedian. But there's a place, there's a time, and in that room, I don't know how many people there are laughing and clapping because it's funny and goofy, or they're laughing and clapping because they agree with you and they think it's a garbage pile because it's full of Democrats and minorities, and that's my problem. Is if I'm in a room with three people that I know are not racist, and one of them tells like a racy joke, I don't really care that much, because I know these people. I know they're not racist. I know they're not homophobic. I know they're not whatever. But if I'm in a crowd of people and I'm looking around and they're laughing, and I think they're laughing because they think that's true, that Puerto Rico is garbage, it makes me feel a little different. Again, I don't think Tony himself comes from a place of hate here, but that room, I'm not saying everybody in it is a racist, but my goodness, if they don't got a membership card.
Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup. There's some people here. All right, very good. It's absolutely wild to see. And in Texas, stuff is really, really crazy. We're right there by a wide open border. Where are my proud Latinos at tonight? You guys see what I mean? It's wide open. There's so many of them. It's absolutely incredible. Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this.
10 days from now.
That wasn't even like the, let me play the one, Tony Jew. I can't believe that's the Twitter search I'm making right now. Here it is. Here's the one that I actually, at least this one had some originality to it, and you know, that's something at least. Let me play this one because it wasn't in the compilation.
Going on, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the...
Wait, no, that's not the one I wanted. That's not the one I looked for at all. Here it is.
Best out of 3. Rock, paper, scissors. You know the Palestinians are going to throw rock.
Here it is.
Best out of 3.
So he's saying that the way that they should settle the conflict is by the Palestinians and the Israelis doing rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors. You know the Palestinians are going to throw rock every time. But you also know the Jews have a hard time throwing that paper. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're having fun now. We're cooking.
Look, if this is on YouTube or your podcast show, like whatever, who thought this was a good idea? Who thought it was a good idea for him to go on a stage called Puerto Rico garbage in a state with 400,000 Puerto Ricans and many Puerto Ricans being in vital swing states? And after this happened, you know what came out? Bad Bunny, very popular Puerto Rican music star. He came out and endorsed Harris. Some other people, Puerto Rican stars, came out and endorsed Harris. This has been going crazy viral, what he said about Puerto Rico. A lot of this stuff has been going viral, but the Puerto Rico stuff went crazy viral, and everybody ran with it. Harris ran with it. Waltz ran with it. Waltz was talking about it with AOC on her live stream while they were playing Crazy Taxi. That's a wild sentence I just said out loud, but it's a true sentence. It went everywhere, and I'm not going to doubt that that little quote written in text, so they're not even getting this. They're getting it in text form, is being sent in all these group chats with all these Puerto Rican families and a lot of states. And let me tell you something, Puerto Ricans love Puerto Rico. And like I know a lot of people in America from many different states. Puerto Ricans love Puerto Rico. They're very proud people. And I'm just saying that you being on this stage with Trump's record on hurricane response on Puerto Rico and kind of just rubbing that wound a little bit, I don't think it's going to go over well electorally. I don't care about the morality necessarily of whether a joke should or should not be said in one or certain context ever. That's another day for another topic. This is bad electoral politics. That's not the room you should be saying it in, and this is not the place for this. Just put it somewhere else, anywhere else, anywhere else, anywhere else. And it's weird because, like, for me, like, this is like the Trump campaign shooting themselves in the foot. I should be like, do more, do another, please do another. Even of course, it damages, national unity. It, race relations isn't helped by it, but electorally, do another. But it's painful. It's painful to watch and just think about it. Okay, so that's the Tony section. By the way, I think somebody in chat said he is a racist.
Give it up for the one and only Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yes, hello, good evening, welcome, hello. How about one more time for the filthy little fucking shit?
Jesus, you can't send me that. You can't send me that, man. I'm on Twitch. Okay, you know what? You can all come to your own conclusions on your own time. Ah, yes. That's a way to get banned. That's a way to get banned. No warning either. You just said he's racist. I thought it was going to be like, I disapprove of African migration. I didn't think it was going to be that. I thought it was going to be... Well, thank you guys for all tuning in to the last Dylan Burns TV stream. It's been great being a streamer with all of you. Anyway, let's go to the Tucker Carlson segment, because while the Tony, like, if you wanted to be the ultimate devil's advocate, and I don't want to entertain this too much right now, right? You could try to argue that Tony is just a really offensive guy that likes to say slurs and likes to make racist jokes for comedic effect. He doesn't really believe anything because he just wants to piss off everyone at the same time. You could try to make that argument. See where you get with it. You can try to make that argument. This guy is not a comedian. He's a political entertainer at best. I don't find him very entertaining, but his audience does. Listen to what he had to say about IQ and race when it came to Harris.
10 days from now, to look in the eye to America with a straight face, it's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president, it was just a groundswell of popular support. And anyone who thinks otherwise is just a freak or a criminal. And
What's the best of the worst of that statement, as in it's the best of being the worst, is it both enforces election denial before the results have even come in, and hey, America's population continues to grow, we get higher electoral numbers. Whoa. Wait, an election that has had over billions and billions of billions, record spending amount of money spent on trying to get people out to vote, there's going to be a higher voter turnout? Whoa. Democrats highly motivated, like very likely to, like, they can just check the polling for motivation for voter. Like, this is all publicly available information. All publicly available information. But before the result has come in, before the first votes on election day have been cast, and we're still sending in the mail-in votes, he's already denying the result in advance if Harris wins. Trump did the same thing in 2020. Now, the second part of that, like the Samoan, whatever, low IQ, Tucker going after her race and then following it with low IQ, you can say that she talks in a politician way. You are not going to support Donald Trump for president, who thought that windmills cause cancer, who thought that after a hurricane prediction that he made was wrong, he took out a Sharpie to extend its range so he wouldn't be wrong and look silly to the public, who said that the heat would take C-19 away, who thought that invisible jets were actually invisible, like Wonder Woman's jets, who was proposing invasions of Venezuela, who was flip-flopping on policies left and right, getting basic history wrong about the Civil War, talking about Lincoln could have negotiated it better, getting basic facts about American history wrong, European history wrong, world history wrong. If you're going to say that man has a higher IQ or intelligence than Harris, because why? Why? Legit, what is the thing that makes Trump so much smarter than Harris when you're supporting that man? She was DA, she was a senator, she got legislation passed, she went out there with a staff and was able to work as vice president for 4 years. You can't just say she's stupid. If you're like, oh, well, she gave a vapid answer here, or she gave a politician answer, yeah, that's a politician. Yeah, you could say that she could be, oh, she's slippery like a politician, or Weasley like a You could try to do that when she dodges a question like Trump has dodged a million times. He just calls it the weave. He just markets it different. Like, what is the thing that separates it? It's the only thing that he mentioned in his statement. Race. It's the only other thing he mentioned. It was race. When going after IQ, the only thing he mentioned was her race. And not beating the allegations.
Today, this is Donald Trump's house, brother. You know something, Trump maniacs? I don't see no stinking Nazis in here. I don't see no stinking domestic terrorists in here. The only thing I see in here are a bunch of hard-working men and women that are real Americans, brother.
Daily mentioned that Hulk Hogan sold out the creation of the Wrestlers Union, sold out Jesse Ventura when he was trying to do it, and got him fired by Vince McMahon so he could take bigger pay cuts and everyone else could get screwed by Vince. Just saying. I'd like to mention it as a wrestling fanatic.
When she was asked what she would do differently compared to Joe Biden, she said, nothing comes to mind. She's running on how she's going to be different, but she couldn't name a single thing that she would do differently than Joe Biden. Now, I will say that could be the Kamala Harris official campaign slogan. Kamala Harris, nothing comes to mind.
Kamala's gross incompetence.
I will say, the difficulty with trying to distance yourself from Biden while also not trying to piss on the leg of the man who gave you the position that you have and then also elevated you to be the next nominee for president of the United States when an open convention at the DNC was still very much in question, and Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, I'm sure all these people, if they got it their way, might have been done very differently. But no, he skipped the whole process. He fingered her for it, and everybody else fell in line, which not only promoted party unity, but also meant that they could get a strategy out there and start pushing a candidate earlier when they didn't have much time to begin with. So from Harris's position, do you want to start saying, oh, I'm not like this guy over here. I'm totally different than Biden because, you know, he was bad on this. I'm good on this, right? It's gonna, you don't want to piss on his leg. But on the other hand, if you just say you're the same old, and you don't distinguish yourself, it's kind of hard to give people like something to believe in, to characterize yourself to an audience, or to try to distance yourself at all from the status quo. And you shouldn't do it in every way. There's certain things that they should be proud of. For example, we recovered better than any other G7 nation from COVID. I think that's an accomplishment of the Biden administration. I think that's an accomplishment. I think the CHIPS Act and the investment in American domestic microchip manufacturing in the Midwest, I thought that was a great accomplishment. And now we're getting reports from Bloomberg, from the TSMC, the Taiwanese semiconductor company, that that it's actually better. We're doing better than some Taiwanese companies. That's what these early projections are showing when it comes to producing these microchips. It's almost, maybe a little bit of American ingenuity. You could go through the list. There's accomplishments that have been done, and she can champion those. But she has to distance herself in some way because not everybody likes the status quo, and the status quo hasn't worked for everybody. And so whether it's going to be on marijuana legalization, whether it's going to be on a stronger stance on, or like becoming more present in the campaign on healthcare issues, which was not what she decided to do. But she's got to find some way to characterize herself differently. She's tried to lean on experience and her perspective by saying, since I come from this thing, that's what makes me different. But I don't think that's enough. I think there has to be concrete policy difference in saying, this is what I want to focus on. And she's done that to some extent. For example, maternal fatalities, people, dying during childbirth. This is something that she said, due to her background, that she would focus on, which is different than what Biden has focused on. It hasn't been a main focus, but it's not an issue that's been, leading him forward. But she has to do more of that while also not pissing on his leg, which is not the easiest task.
Kamala's gross incompetence disqualifies her from being president of the United States of America. She is grossly incompetent. All you have to do is look at her interviews, look at what she did the other night on fake news, CNN. Just take a look.
Did you know Donald Trump a few years, not a few, oh, now I'm going demented. Donald Trump was doing an interview like a few days ago, and he said that he was recently on Oprah's show, like a few days before the interview. Oprah's show ended a decade ago. Watch the interviews. Watch your own interviews. Have any of you guys seen that Joe Rogan interview? I don't know how much of you guys have watched. I'm not a huge Joe Rogan podcast fan, and I'm not saying you guys should go become huge fans of Joe Rogan. But if you watch any Joe Rogan episode, go watch that one. Go listen to him. Try to find some coherence. Listen to the question Joe asks him. Then watch him weave. Watch him weave, watch him dodge, watch him swirl around and talk about anything but the question that's been brought before him.
She couldn't answer a question. She's unfit for office. Everyone knows it. No one respects her. No one trusts her. No one takes her seriously. Everyone knows she is a very low IQ individual. And we will make America great again. Thank you, New York. God bless you.
So there's a few things, like he didn't show the enemy within statement. And there's a few other wild Trump statements, a few other lies here and there, of course, that, were not captured here. But I don't think it's important to go through each and every single one of these moments. Should we actually watch any specific? Honestly, no. I don't think we're going to watch any other specific segment here. All I have to say about this is it is less than 10 days before the election. It is less than 10 days before the election. And this is the largest crowd Trump's probably going to have until Election Day. And Madison Square Garden, a center for sports entertainment. I mean, it is a gigantic arena that they filled up. They filled it up. And then they decided to take that to tell bad, edgy jokes, to take this moment to tell bad, edgy jokes, going after the Puerto Ricans, the Jews, black people. I didn't even show the watermelon comment about black people. And then have Rudy Giuliani come out and Tucker Carlson go out and give equally disastrous performances. This was not a good rally to attract the moderate. This was not a good rally to attract the independent. This was a base riling up rally. This is a rally to try to make sure that every single one of your supporters is likely to go out and vote, show up their support, make them have a good time, to make sure that if it's windy, if it's rainy, if it's, they're having a bad day, they're depressed, their wife left them, they got hit by a truck, they got thrown off a mountain, they jumped into a volcano, they got hung by their necks, they got hung by their feet, they got tied up one limb on 4 separate horses and torn in half. They still are going to go and vote on Election Day. And if he can get his voters out to the polls, it doesn't matter if Trump's, amongst the general population, his favorability is worse than Harris. At the end of the day, all that matters is if people go out there and vote. And that's the only thing stopping Trump from getting into the White House, is if the opposition comes out and votes against him. And the only thing that can get him into it is if he can rile up his base as much as he's doing right here and attract enough independents to thinking that he offers a viable path to bring the U.S. economy on track, to get us away from the status quo, and towards a more prosperous future. A prosperous future full of tariffs, no income tax, and ending every war within 25 seconds of entering the office. What do we got left? What do we got left to do?